Right, we're here outside Melrose Abbey. This is where the heart of Robert the Bruce is buried under the high altar of Melrose Abbey. I'm going to tell you a wee bit about Robert the Bruce, but before I do that, I'm going to ask these pipers to give us a few wee tunes. Give us another one. Well, thanks very much, guys. Thank you. I'll get you a wee drink. Right, anyway, we're here to remember Robert the Bruce. Now, we have been at several locations today to remember Robert the Bruce. We started off in Glasgow, at Glasgow Cathedral, because the Bishop of Glasgow Cathedral, Robert Wishart, was a great supporter of Robert the Bruce during the so-called Wars of Independence. He also supported William Wallace. Now, Robert Wishart, although he was a clergyman, he actually did don armour and fought in many battles for Scotland's independence. He was present when Robert the Bruce was crowned King of Scots on the 27th of March 1306. Some say that it was actually Robert Wishart who actually crowned Robert the Bruce the King of Scots, although other history books say it was the Countess of Buchan. Now, the fact is that what happened with Robert Wishart, 3 months after he was involved in the coronation of Robert the Bruce, he was captured in a battle at Methven. When he was captured, all the other Scots that were captured were executed. He was spared execution because he was a clergyman. He was held captive from 1306 to 1314. He was released after the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, when negotiation began between the prisoners that were held by the Scots and the prisoners that were held by the English. So he was released after the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314. He died 2 years later in 1316, Robert Wishart, the Bishop of Glasgow. And we were at Glasgow Cathedral today, and in the crypt down in the basement, the body of Robert Wishart is actually buried. He was one of Scotland's great patriots and should be remembered. He supported Robert the Bruce during the Wars of Independence. We then moved on from there to Bannockburn in Stirling, and we went to Bannockburn Field to remember the great victory that Robert the Bruce and the Black Douglas and the brother of Robert Bruce, Edward Bruce, they had a great victory over the English at Bannockburn on the 23rd of June 1314. 6 years later, a declaration was made called the Declaration of Arbroath, and the words of the Declaration of Arbroath at the end said, "So long as 100 Scots remain alive, we will never subject ourselves to the dominion of the English." To me, this is the Scottish Constitution, and I stand by that 100%. As long as there's 100 of us left, we will never give in the fight for Scotland's independence. Now, after we went to Stirling, we then went on to Dunfermline, where the body of Robert the Bruce is in Dunfermline Abbey. Robert the Bruce was buried in a cloth of gold in Dunfermline Abbey. And we went along there today to remember that. Now, when Robert the Bruce died, his heart was removed from his body. It was placed in a silver casket and was carried by the Black Douglas. And at the deathbed of Robert the Bruce, he asked the Black Douglas to do him one last favour, to take his heart all the way to the Holy Land and lay his heart in the Holy Sepulchre, the tomb of Jesus Christ. So what happened was that the Black Douglas and other Scottish knights took the heart of Robert the Bruce. En route to the Holy Land, they passed through Spain, and they were met by King Alphonso of Spain. King Alphonso of Spain asked for the help of the Scottish knights against the Moors coming up from the Arab countries who were invading Spain at that time. So the Black Douglas and the other Scottish knights, who included William Sinclair of Roslin, they also included other Scottish knights, I've lost the name of the other knights. Andrew Cathcart was one of the knights, and what actually happened in the battle, though, during the battle, what happened was that the Scottish knights were unaccustomed to the fighting style of the Moors, and they were surrounded by them and cut down. The body of the Black Douglas and the other Scottish knights were brought back to Scotland, along with the Bruce's heart, and the Bruce's heart is interred here in Melrose Abbey under the high altar. We should never forget these patriots that fought for Scotland's freedom. Never ever forget them, guys. I'm going to let Gwen Sinclair have a few words now. Gwen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks everybody for coming out. I apologise for the weather. Obviously there's not much we can do. I'll make it really brief. One of the knights that James was talking about was a guy called Sir William Sinclair, and we had been talking about him up at the Bothwell Castle rally this year. He was a really good friend, very, very strong supporter of Robert the Bruce, and obviously Sir James Douglas as well, and he was actually present in Cardeross Castle when Robert the Bruce was lying in his deathbed, and as James said, he wanted to make sure the sins of his life, he felt terrible about all the deaths that had happened. Obviously at that time in history there really wasn't much choice that he had. It was either accept the situation of being a country under occupation and the terrible things that happened. It was a kind of form of genocide that was happening in Scotland, or fight back. And obviously Bruce decided in his choice in life that he wouldn't just go away, he would stay and fight. And Sir William Sinclair was from Rosslyn Castle, which is just outside Edinburgh. I know we all know Rosslyn because of the Da Vinci Code with the chapel that's there. Well, that chapel was built by his forefathers, but his sons and grandsons. But he was actually involved in building the tower at Rosslyn Castle. And if anyone's ever been there, I really highly recommend that you do. We also found out that he had a tomb within the chapel, and the reason it's tiny is because all the bones of all the Scottish knights were basically boiled in vinegar to bring back the bones, because they couldn't bring the bodies back. It took 2 months to sail from Spain back up to Leith, and then all the bones were brought back to the families there, and it was absolutely terrible. But I think we should wrap this up. It's getting really wet, isn't it? Is there anything else you want to say, James? Oh yeah, before I forget, Sir William Sinclair was given, just a young guy obviously, he was given the Sword of Bruce after Bannockburn, so clearly we're getting a wee strong feeling of how many friends and supporters he had. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gwen, for that. We've had good weather at all the other locations we were at. It's terrible weather we're getting here. But isn't that an amazing story, that the fact that when these guys died, that they actually boiled their bodies in vinegar, the flesh fell off, and they brought the bones back to Scotland. Now in these days it took 2 months to come back. So this was the end of August, so it would have been probably end of October, beginning of November, when they brought back the Bruce's heart and they put it in the high altar, underneath the high altar here in Melrose Abbey. So hence this is the time period that we're doing this event, to remember it was around about this time of the year, and the weather was probably just as bloody awful when they brought back the Bruce's heart and they put it underneath the high altar. The heart of one of Scotland's greatest patriots just lies behind us here in this abbey. Never forget this man who done his very best and succeeded in regaining Scotland's independence. Teach this man's history to your children, your grandchildren. He should never be forgotten. Thank you very much.
Michael.